I feel like it was cutting as well.
What's that?
I feel like it was you said that to me.
No, probably a little bit.
I
Right.
take Joshua job from him.
Someone has to do it and get me to press record. So, hi everyone. Today we are continuing with the topic of wages, right? So, the difference with wage and salary is that a salary is something fixed and most likely you get it at the end of the month. A wage is based on an hourly rate and you get paid like every fortnight, right? Which is every 2 weeks. You have your hourly rate, you multiply by how many hours you work, and that will be your wage at the end of the period. So we're going to get into an example now. If someone works a basic week of 35 hours and their basic rate, which is the hourly rate, which is $14.75, all we have to do is multiply the hourly rate by the amount of hours they would have worked, and their wage at the end of the period will be $516.25 in their paycheck. We have another scenario that is saying someone's basic wage. So at the end of their 2-week period or their week period, they would have received $236.25. And their hourly rate is $6.75. So that had to be a long time ago, right? So to find the basic week, we say the basic wage divided by the basic rate, which is 236.25 divided by 6.75, which is 35. I was going to put dollars, yes. 35 hours. So we have a third scenario that says someone works for a basic wage of $703 and their basic week, the amount of hours they work per week is 76 hours. What is their basic rate, their hourly rate? So of course, we divide our basic wage by our basic week, which will be 703 divided by 76. And the hourly rate will be $9.25. If you put 9.25 hours, you'll get it wrong, right? Make sure if it's a rate, you put it as dollars. If it's a week, you put it as hours, etc. Overtime is where you work beyond your expected hours per week. And when you work beyond those hours, you have to be paid an additional rate, right? So the types of rates we have generally are time and a half, time and a quarter, double time, and triple time, based on the day, based on if it's a holiday, based on how many hours, etc. So time and a half, overtime rate is worked out by multiplying 1, meaning time and a half, meaning 1 hour plus half of that hour. So 1.5 by your basic rate. Time and a quarter, meaning 1 hour plus a quarter of your hour by your basic rate. Double time means what you would have worked for on a regular hour, 2 times that, and 3 times the basic rate for triple time. So if I have a basic rate of $15, my overtime at time and a quarter will be 1.25 multiplied by 15. Of course, we could say 1.25 multiplied by 15, which will give us that. So overtime at time and a half will be 1.5 multiplied by 15, right? Which should give us about $22.50. Overtime at double time. So that's just 2 by 15, which is $30. And at triple time is going to be 3 by 15, which is $45. So imagine if you work a triple time for a few hours. Nice, right? Right, so we have a basic rate of $3.75. The person would have worked 6 hours overtime, a time and a quarter, 8 hours overtime, a time and a half, 5 hours overtime, a double time, and they would have worked a basic week of 40 hours. So this 40 hours is before the overtime, right? So their basic wage would be 40 multiplied, so the basic week multiplied by the basic rate, which is 40 by 3.75, $150 at the end of their basic week. Now they want her gross wage. Her gross wage. Now remember, gross is your pay before any deductions. So they want at the end of her week, they want her basic week, her basic wage plus her overtime wage. So we now have to work out, we already have the basic wage, we have to work out her overtime wage. So her overtime wage.
Is there a fixed formula for this?
No, it's just you're adding the overtime because she works overtime. Yeah, so her gross wage is generally her basic wage. But because she works overtime, we have to add the overtime to it as well. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have to now work out her overtime wage based on what she would have worked. So let's work out the rate at time and a quarter. So we know that's 1.25 by 3.75. And what about the rate at time and a half? That's 1.50 by 3.75. And the rate at double time is 2. So that's 2 by 3.75. So let's get the rate for each one, the hourly rate for each one. So that will be 1.25 by 3.75, which is 4. So we have a decimal, so we have to round it according to the cents. So that's going to be 4.669, right? Then we have 1.5, 1.5 by 3.75. So that's going to be 5.63. And then by 2, 3.75 by 2, that will be $7.50. So these are the hourly rates. But how many hours did she work at 1 1/4? So she worked 6 at 1 1/4, right? So that's going to be 6 multiplied by this rate here, 4.69. And then she worked how much else? She worked 8 at 1 1/2. So that's going to be 8 by the 1 1/2 rate, which is 5.63. And then she worked 5 at double time. So that's going to be 5 multiplied by the hourly rate for double time, which is $7.50. Let's work this out. 6 by 4.69, which is, so she's getting $28.14 for the 6 hours. Then she's getting 8 by 5.63, which is 45.04. Then she's going to get 5 by 7.5, which is 37.50. So her gross wage, so actually let's do a total overtime. So her total overtime wage is when we add up all of them, right? So 28.14 plus 45.04, plus 37.50, which will give us, of course, in money, 37.50 plus 45.04 plus 28.14. So her total overtime was $110.68. So we have her total overtime wage and we have her basic wage. So her gross wage, how much she got paid at the end of her week, would be the 150, I believe. 150 for her regular hours. And she got almost close to her regular hours in the overtime. So that will be $260.68 as her gross wage. Any questions?
Could you go over the whole thing again, please, one more time?
Sure, no problem. Right, so we have someone who is working for an hourly rate, which is called a basic rate, at $3.75 per hour. They are then working 6 hours overtime at time and a quarter. 8 hours overtime at time and a half. 5 hours overtime at double time. So they are working overtime at 3 different rates. And they are working 40 basic hours before their overtime. So in total, they would have worked 40 plus 6 plus 8 plus 5, right? So they would have worked 6 plus 5 plus 8, which is 59 hours for that entire week. So to work out the basic wage, that's, remember, just your amount of regular hours by your regular rate. So that's $150. Then she has her overtime to work out now. So they ask for her gross wage, and the gross wage is usually her basic wage, but she has overtime, so we have to add the overtime.
The gross wage is the same as gross salary.
Well, yes, but wage. So before deduction. Yeah? How much you are getting paid before any deduction.
Yeah, that's what they said the gross salary means from last class.
Yeah, so the only difference is one is a wage and one is a salary. But it's the same concept. Gross means before. Yeah.
So I could put like AKA gross wage right next to the gross salary notes that I have.
You don't have to, because gross is really what it is, and you already have gross as before deduction. But if that's your way of taking notes, by all means, you definitely can. If that's your way of remembering it, right? But remember, gross means before deductions. Say gross wage is before deductions. Yeah?
Yes, miss.
Yeah. So we have the gross wage, and we are adding the overtime. So now we have to work out the overtime wage. And the overtime wage, right, so now that we have to work out the overtime wage, is going to be for the different overtime hours. So so we're going to find it for each hour first. So we know at 1 1/4 is going to be 1.25 by 3.75, because 1 1/4 is 1.25 by the hourly rate. 1 1/2 will be 1.5 by the hourly rate. And 2 double time will be 2 by 3.75 the hourly rate. So this is the hourly rate. This is the hourly rate for time and a quarter overtime. Hourly rate for time and a half overtime, and hourly rate for double time overtime. So we are not doing it. She didn't work for 1 hour each. She worked for 6, 8, and 5. So all we have to do is multiply each one to get her total time and a quarter, her total time and a half, and her total double time. And her total overtime wages when we add the 3 up. So the total overtime, when we calculated it was $110.68. Then her gross wage, again, the wage that she's getting before any deductions will be her basic wage plus her overtime wage, which is the 150 plus the 110.68, which will give us 260.68. Any questions?
Oh.
So we have an example here on commission, right? Commission is on this additional percentage of pay based on the sales a person would have made, right? So if they have a salary, they are going to get their salary regardless of if they sell something or if they don't sell something. But the commission is based on what they will sell and based on the percentage the company is giving them. So we have a salesman. He is paid a basic wage of $600. He's also paid a commission of 1.5% of the value of cars sold. So he sold cars valued at $97,600 and $68,700. So his commission will be based on the 2 cars that he would have sold. So what is the commission he received? We add up all the sales, which would be the 2 cars, and we multiply by 1.5%. You know that 1.5% is just 1.5 over 100. Right? When we work that out, he gets a commission of $2,494.50. Now his gross wage is just his basic wage plus the commission, and his basic wage is his pay regardless of what he sells, which is $600 plus the commission we would have worked out earlier, which is $3,094.50. Foreign exchange, aka currency, is the converting from one currency to another currency based on different conversion rates, right? So you go into America, you don't go to America with TT, right? Because they'll ask you, what is this? We don't accept this, right? So before you go to America or before you go to a different place that uses a different currency, different money value, you have to convert it, right? So if we know that about $6.30 or $6.80 will give you one US, or $2.50 will give you one EC, etc., right? So we're going to get into some different currencies. Be mindful that in these questions, it may not be the actual currencies to date, but it gives you definitely the foundation of knowing how to convert any currency at any rate. So we have some rates of exchange on the screen, right? We have $1 is equivalent to $6.30 CT. $1 is equal to $4.90 CT. £1 or British pound dollar is equal to $11.50 CT. So they are going to give you the rates, right? And then they are going to ask you to manipulate and convert. So first question is to convert US 1,000 to CT. So this comes like a bit of direct variation. Right? Remember, direct variation is if 1 is equal to something, that means when you increase, your something increases as well, right? So if 1 US is equal to $6.30 CT.
This in my mind, I don't know why I keep getting confused sometimes by the direct and the indirect. In my mind, I divide it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You divide it. Why would you divide it? Remember, and even if you're not studying direct proportion and indirect proportion, $1 US is $6. So if you have 1,000, will you divide it? If you have 1,000 US, do you expect to get 500 TT with 1,000 US? No, right? Because you know that everyone is going to give you more. So you know that 1,000 US will be 1,000 multiplied by the 630. Yeah? Which will give me
Yes.
6,300. So let's stop overthink direct and indirect. I just see it naturally, so I could say it. But just think about the example itself and be like, okay, well, if I have 1 US and I know to my own self, if I have 1 US, I'm going to get $6 back for that. I am not going to go into a store and let them divide my 1,000 US by 6. And so 1,000 divided by 6.3. If you leave with 150 ATT after giving somebody 1,000 US, will you walk out with that easily and be like, okay, you can do? Yeah? Huh?
No.
No, because you know that you have 1,000 US and you left with 150 ATT, and you know that that mathematics isn't maxing at all, right? So you know, because every 1 US is 6 something, you're just going to multiply it to increase the quantity. So it's going to be 1,000 multiplied by the 630, which is 6,300 T. Yeah, so let's try.
It will only be if we want to get TT.
No,
Sorry, we have TT and we want to get US.
It could go anywhere. You can have TT, get US, get TT based on the conversion. What do you mean? The multiplication?
Yeah, so seeing that we have to multiply when we want the US to get it T. No, sorry, we have to multiply to get it TT. We have to divide to get the US.
So if I have $600, 6,300 on TT, and I want to get it to US now. All right, let's do that one. So if I have 6,300 TT that I want to change to US dollars, then of course I still know that every 1 US is $6.30 TT, right? So therefore my currency is TT to TT. I have TT and I know 630 TT will give me 1 US. So I have to now divide. So it's going to be 6,300 divided by the 6.3 to tell me how many groups of the 630 I'll get.
Right, that's what I was saying. You would have to divide now to get the US.
So therefore, I know that I'll be getting back 1,000 US. Yeah?
Yeah.
So after changing 1,000 US to TT dollars, a tourist spent $4,200 TT and converted the remainder of TT to Canadian dollar. How much Canadian dollars would they have? So now we had what? So we had 6,300 TT. So the remainder will be when you subtract them, right? So you have to subtract the 4,200 because they spend that, right? So the remainder will be $2,100, right, TT? Yeah. And they are now converting this $2,100 TT to Canadian dollars. So we go back to the TT Canadian. So 1 Canadian is equal to $4.90 TT dollars. So again, I have 2,100 TT dollars. So of course, if I have 2,100 TT dollars and every 490, would we multiply or divide?
So that's again, Miss?
If I have 2,100 TT dollars,
Right.
and they are telling me I'm converting TT to Canadian. They said every 1 Canadian is $4.90 TT. So I have TT.
Right.
Every 490 TT will give me 1 Canadian. Do we multiply or divide?
We group the like term or like variables, which is the 2TT, and divide the 490, no, sorry, the 2,100 by the 490.
So what we're going to do is, because we have 2,100 TT, we're going to see how many 490 we're going to get in that. And we know that every 490 will give us 1 Canadian. So when we divide it, 2,100 divided by 4.9, that tells me I am going to have $428.57 Canadian dollars. So of course we cannot multiply it, because if we're multiplying it, it never said 1 TT is 490 Canadian. So we can't multiply the TT. We have to divide the TT to get the Canadian. Yeah? So now that we have 428.57 Canadian, I think that could be the end of our question there. Let's move on to the second one. Any questions?
Yes, I didn't finish it. Okay. Or the highest currency in the world, or
I know it's one of the highest currencies, but I don't know if it is the highest currency.
okay.
Yeah. But they have the United States dollar, they have the pound sterling, they have the euros. Yeah.
Do we divide again?
So we have TT dollars to convert to, and we know that every 1150 in this 31 is going to give me. So yeah, we divide. So I hope that you all are seeing how the division and multiplication comes into play. 316250, and we divided by, to see how many groups of 1150, because that's TT divided TT, right? And that will be 3162.5 divided by 11.5, which is 275 sterling, right? Sterling. What do we do now? Let's see. 225 sterling was spent, and the remainder was converted to TT. So let's work that out. How much TT? So, of course, we need to find the remainder, which will be the, whoa, no dollar sign there. So this will be the 275 minus how much we spent, 225. So the remainder is 50 pounds. And now we have to change back euros to TT. So every 1 euro is 11.50, right? So what do we do now? Now that we have 50 euros. What do we do now? Every 1 euro, why am I saying euro? Every 1 British pound is 11.50 TT. How much is 50 British sterling to TT?
There's no dollar sign for the 11.50.
It's fine, yeah. No. What's the answer? How do we work that out?
We say 50 by.
Tiffany, let me hear from you. You're too quiet. I don't want you to be sending me all sorts of things. Participate, please. How do we work this out?
The EC 50 by the $11.50.
So that's 50 British sterling by 11.50. Nice. Right. I want to hear you participating. So that will give us 57.50 TT dollars. We multiply because every 1 is 11.50, and because we had 50, we multiply it, right? It's going to increase. Very, very good.
And so once they want us to get, like say they did switch 11.50 is 1 EU, and they had the, okay, my mind just went blank there. Hold on, America. If it was switch, is what I say, and they.
So what you're trying to ask is, if we have euro, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. If we have British, let me just write this. If we have British sterling, right? And we're trying to convert British sterling to TT, right? If this is 1 to many, we multiply. Right? So I'm going to write this little thing for you. So if the conversion is 1 to many, we multiply. So for example, 1 US to 1 US is 5 TT, and I want to get 5 US. My conversion is 1 to many, right? 1 US to many. So I know I have to multiply. Yeah? So because I know my conversion is 1 US to many more, many meaning more than 1, 1 US is giving me 5 TT. My conversion is 1 to many. So I am converting 5 US. Because 1 US is 5 TT, 5 US will obviously be 5 by 5. So I have to multiply when it's 1 to many. So let's say we have the same conversion, 1 US, 5 TT, but now I have 25 TT to US. This conversion is now what? Many to 1, right? Because the bigger part now is going back to the smaller part. Many to 1. When we have many to 1 now, we divide. Let me write it the same way. Many to 1, we divide. It's something that you will definitely have to see as you do more examples to understand how is 1 to many and what is many to 1. So now that we have the 25 US, 25 TT to US, we know that it's many going back to 1, meaning we're starting from the TT and we're going back to the US. So it's many going back to 1. We divide the 25 by the 5. So this one will actually be 25 divided by 5, which is 5 US. Write it down. We'll go through another example so you can see how 1 to many and many to 1 works. We have an example here, 1 US to 6 TT. So because we know that 1 US is equivalent to 6 TT, because we are converting US to TT, it's a 1 to many relationship. Again, 1 US, 6 TT, 1 US, 6 TT, US to TT, 1 to many relationship. So therefore, every 1 US will give me 6 TT. So if I have more than 1 US, I'll have to multiply. So I'll end up with 5 by 6, which is 30 TT. Right, of course, putting in dollar signs and all these things, right? Now, let me do a 5 TT to Jamaican. Is this a 1 to many or a many to 1? 1 TT, 20 Jamaican dollars. So TT to Jamaican, 1 TT, 20, it's still a 1 to many. Therefore, as the TT increases, the Jamaican will increase. So it's going to be 5 by 20, which is 100 TT. Now, if I say I want 150 Jamaican now to TT, what type of relationship is this? We go back to the top. 1 TT to 20 Jamaican, but we're going from the other way. We're going Jamaican to TT. So it's now a many to 1 because it's 20 to 1. So this will now be a many to 1 because we're reading it from Jamaican to TT. So many Jamaican to 1 TT. So we know that we will have to divide it because every 20 inside of this will give me 1 TT. So it's now going to be 150 divided by 20. Yeah? You're following me? You're following me? Yeah? You're following?
Yes, miss.
Yes, yeah.
Right, so the 7.5 TT. So 7.5 TT I will receive from 150 Jamaican dollars. So let me do now 21 EC to TT. So we have 1 EC to 2.5 TT. So again, once I go from EC to TT, it is a many to 1 or 1 to many.
One to many.
1 to many. Nice, because we went from EC to TT, which is 1 EC to 2.5 TT. So we know we are going to multiply it as the EC increase. So that's going to be 21 by 2.5, right? Which is $52.
So you always have to watch the conversion table given in this
Yes,
scenario.
every single one you have to use the conversion table for, because that is what you're using to convert. Yeah, so every single one you have to go back to that conversion table. Erasing the top. Let's say I have 100 now TT to EC. What type of relationship is this? Many to one or one to many? So we're going from TT to EC, which is a what type of relationship? One to many or many to one? TT to EC. What type of relationship is it?
Many to one.
Many to one. Nice. Right? Because it's many TT to one EC and we're converting TT to EC. So many TT to one EC, very good. So that's going to be 100 divided by the 2.5, which will be 40 EC. Yeah? Let us do how about we go from US to Jamaica now? 50 US to Jamaican. Do we have a US to Jamaican currency?
No.
Straight? No. So that means we have to go from US to TT and then TT to Jamaican. Yeah? So let's try that. Let's go US to TT. So 50 US to TT. What type of relationship is that? One to many or many to one? US to TT. What type of relationship?
One to many.
One to many, very good. One US to many TT, which is one to many. So we know that we have to multiply, which is 50 by 6. So that's 300 TT from 50 US. So now that we have the 300 TT, we are not done. We have to change the TT to Jamaican. What's the conversion for TT to Jamaican? So TT to Jamaican is, so 300 TT to Jamaican. What's the Jamaican to TT? Jamaican to TT. So we're going Jamaican to TT, one to many or many? Many to one. Awesome. So we know that now we have to divide it. So 300 is going to divide by my 20, which is 15, I believe. Yeah, 15 Jamaican. Yeah. What are we converting? What are we converting? Sorry. What are we converting? What are we converting? TT to Jamaican, right? TT to Jamaican, right? I did Jamaican to TT. Sorry, we're doing TT to Jamaican. What relationship is that? TT to Jamaican.
Or one to many.
One to many. Right, so always go back to this, start here. So we starting at TT and we're going to Jamaican. So one to many. So that means you're multiplying. So that's going to be 300 multiplied by 20, which will be 6,000 TT. Yeah? 6,000 Jamaican.
because we went from TT to Jamaican, and it is 1 TT to 20 Jamaican. So we multiply it, 6,000 Jamaican dollars. Any questions there? Understanding one and you want. Huh?
But there is no Jamaican sign, Jamaican dollar sign, just.
I'm not aware if they have a sign, but they usually just put Jamaican.
All right. But yeah, I understood.
Tiffany, how about you?
Yes, I understand.
Right, so the 1 to many and the many to one is basically one of the easier way to understand if they divide or not. But you just have to talk to yourself and understand whether you're going from TT to EC or EC to TT or however it goes. Start at that, go back to it, and you'll see, well, if it's many to one or if it's 1 to many. So I'll send you also 1 or 2 homework. You'll have plenty of homework to submit for me. I'll send you 1 or 2 of these, at least 1 of each, so you can get some practice in. So we would have covered our stuff for today. Yay! 11 minutes over. Yay! Right? And that's it for today's